Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Stargirl Season 3, and this is going to be my review for episode 10 for this season, otherwise entitled The Killer, and oh my god, what an episode, what an ending, what a reveal, what a build up to that ending, and a bit of a victory dance for some people, because some people were going really ham with that being who was really, behind everything, or at least spying on people. And we mentioned that it was a high possibility in how it could have happened. And we still have to, I guess, see the play on from that next episode. And, from one point to this point, without spoiling exactly who it is at this point right now in the video. But man, such a good ending, but also sad at the same time. But of course, go away if you've not watched the episode, because we're going to be jumping into spoilers, and we have a good amount to talk about. So go away. But if you have watched the episode, you are continuing on, be sure to let me know in the comments section down below your various thoughts, reactions to that ending and that reveal, as well as any other theories and predictions moving forward. Who is the true villain of the season? Is it what we met at the end of last episode, or is it who we were reintroduced to at the end of this episode? Let me know your thoughts down there. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show support, you enjoyed the episode of this episode of Stargirl, why not drop a like on the video to do all that? So last episode, we had like the climax of the McKent tension, I guess you could say, with Rick ending up a bit worse for wear come the end of the episode. And he doesn't really feature too much in this episode. He's in like, I think one or two scenes. But right at the end of the episode, Mike and Jakeem do follow a lead that they did steal from Cindy, with them coming across the Ultra Humanite in a gorilla form, with him appearing to be the killer that we've been looking for this season. But is he really? And the answer to that is maybe. But was it a misdirect? I don't know. I guess we'll find out next episode, because maybe it was who we met at the end of this episode. I don't know. I don't think anyone can be 100% sure. But yeah, this episode served as a really good follow-on from the end of last episode. And I'm not going to lie, it did feel a bit like down compared to what I thought it was going to be, because the episode was called The Killer, as we said before. So it's like, okay, there's going to be some build-up to revealing that. But then like Ultra Humanite is only brought up in 2 scenes. And I was like, okay, so what's that about? And as soon as that end scene started to happen with the Crocs, I was like, okay, this is all going to be worth it, because I'm sure the reveal here is going to be pretty good. And it was better than I thought it would be. But the episode as a whole, I think, just did a good job following on from last episode, as well as building up to the end of this episode and misdirecting us within the same episode as well. But yeah, mate, one of the better endings of Stargirl, but just, as a show can do as a whole. But yeah, let's just jump into the actual breakdown of the episode and discuss it more in depth. So the opening scene with the Crocs, sort of showcasing how much they have changed, but also how much they haven't changed at the same time. I mean, this life is what they were living, I guess the life they are living now was their undercover life previously, like in season 1, but now it's their real life, if that makes sense. However, seeing that the Crocs are now on the JSA side, the McKents are now seen as an issue for them, but how they go about them is another question that's brought up by themselves. And in retrospect, looking back at this opening scene, it's sort of like the contrast, like the happy nature of the Crocs at the beginning of this episode compared to what happens at the end. It's a pretty, it's actually a pretty Croc-heavy episode when you look at it, which are very surprising going into, but it serves it well. Now, Courtney, Pat, and the others are still cautious, following the McKent showdown, just due to the fact that Beth tracked the cameras to their house, which now makes complete sense, though there is some doubt as to whether that is really what's going on, with the McKents as well just dealing with the fallout. And, while Cameron's grandmother is angry, that isn't new. She seems to be angry all the time. But Cameron is angry as well. He's also a bit confused and just looks like he is about to blow. Like, it just like he wants to unleash his anger on something or somebody. And that was the danger, potentially what was going to happen following that conversation with Courtney, which we'll talk about later. Because like, well, if Courtney reveals the truth, then I think Cameron might be able to let off his anger. So Courtney handled that well, but we'll get to that scene later on. Now, as I did say earlier, like Rick's not really in this episode too much. And we get like, I think this might be his only scene, or does he have another one? I can't remember. But Beth's parents are checking over Rick, and the worries about the overuse of the hourglass by him is brought up, which we have talked about being an issue eventually. And it's not just affecting him due to his irrational ways, it's also affecting the people around him, like Beth, due to his outbursts and everything like that. And just, he's not Rick anymore, he's Angry Rick, or just Angry Dude. So that's got to be fixed. Now, as I said, not really in this episode too much. He's not in that end the last sort of JSA grouping that we see later in the episode. So yeah, hopefully they can fix that, because I think they're going to need Rick to be level-headed going into the end of this season. Now, Pat and Sylvester do go to the McKenn's house, and we're greeted by Grandpa McKenn, who I was sort of surprised was already at a hospital. I was sort of surprised I'd let him go despite his abilities. And though this meeting is to ask about Mike and Jakeem initially, it does turn into almost like a setup for war between the McKents and the others. And I was like, oh, that's not very good. Now, Grandpa McKen did say that his wife, or Grandma McKen, was out shopping, but instead she did pay a visit to Pat's house, where Barbara is, at least we think, home alone. And she arrives in a very threatening manner, which I think was going to, play into that potential war between the McKents and everyone else. But Barbara is saved by Paula and her crossbow. So, as I said, the Crocks do play a decent part in this episode, which when I was watching it, I was like, they're in this episode a lot, but maybe it's just because of the build up to the end of the season, everyone has to be together, and this is to sort of solidify that the Crocks are on the JSA side. Oh yeah, we were wrong. Very wrong. Now, we do pick up with Mike and Jakeem and their shenanigans, if you want to call it, following their scary altercation at the end of last episode, though the scares might not be over, because they think they're getting chased again by Ultra Humanite, though they are relieved to find Cindy is in the woods with them as well, with her believing that the big gorilla, or Ultra Humanite, is also a weird creation of her father's, which has actually ended up being revealed to be true. And I did like the Batman reference from Thunderbolt when Cindy disappeared quickly. It's like, oh, just like Batman, or whatever he said. And I have to question, is Batman fictional on this Earth, on Stargirl's Earth, or is he real? Does Batman exist, or is he not real? Is the JSA the only group of heroes? There's no Batman, or does Batman just work alone in Gotham City? I don't know. It's not confirmed or denied. Now, we did get that Courtney and Cameron talk, which sort of was one of the bigger things that was sort of highlighted in the trailer for this episode. And Courtney does reveal the truth to Cameron about his father, that he was killing people, with it leading to Cameron wanting to know who was the killer of his father, which we know as the audience is Mike. Obviously, Courtney knows that as well. And Courtney does hesitate, and I was really wondering whether she was going to say it was Mike. And I was like, is she actually going to say that? Because as I said before, Cameron was angry. It looked like he was just about to blow up. It looked like he really wanted to unleash his anger and stress and emotion on someone or something. Most likely Mike, if he learned that it was actually him. But Courtney does end up saying that it was her, which I think was the right move, because Cameron was really never going to hurt her outside of just some verbal stuff. But I think he would have gone after Mike. And I know people would have killed Mike, but I think he definitely would have made sure Mike learned his lesson, or, had some permanent scars and reminders of what he did. So I think it was the right move by Courtney, despite obviously Cameron going to hold more resentment towards her. But due to that altercation between Barbara and Grandma McKent, the Crocs do go to visit the McKents to, have a chat, with the Crocs trying to take the forgiveness route. And that's not really met well by the McKents, but the Crocs use their own experience to sort of back the reason to move on and forgive and stuff like that. And just bringing up how it won't be the best future for Cameron if this continues, though there does appear to be a lot of pushing against it from within Grandma McKen. Like, that's not really the way she wants to go about things. And I'm extremely curious to see what the follow-on is with her husband, and even Cameron following the reveal at the end of this episode. Because it could push everything in a different direction. Because we were thinking one person's the villain and another thing's the villain, like what's going on? So we still are second guessing exactly how things shape up going into these last handful of episodes. So I can't wait to see how it plays out. But Mike and Jakeem do arrive back in Blue Valley, and they relay what they went through in the woods at the end of last episode. And Pat and Sylvester know exactly what they came across. And it's one of the most dangerous things that the Justice Society ever came up against. And this leads Pat and Sylvester to bringing the entire group together, except for Rick, as I said before, and going over the history of the Ultra Humanite and the JSA's runnings in with him before, including his various body jumps by transferring his brain around. Like when they first came, across him and against him initially, he was a human. Transferred it over to an actress, and then eventually a gorilla. They say it's like a scientific experiment gorilla. Originally in the comics it was from Gorilla City, but I think if they just mentioned Gorilla City, that would create a whole thing like, well, what's Gorilla City? You have to explain that. I think the way they did it were just, oh yeah, Dragon King made a mutated gorilla out of dead gorilla parts or something like that. Probably the best way to go about it. But now Ultra Humanite is at the top of the list for not only the person that attacked Sylvester and killed the gambler, but also the one spying on Blue Valley in the JSA's eyes. They're like, well, it must be him then. Or the person around there must be him. And maybe he can... I know how they think that a gorilla... But then again, they don't necessarily know where the center for the cameras or the surveillance system is, and that the McKent thing was a mislead. So it could be outside of Blue Valley where a gorilla could sort of chill out and hide and watch the TV screens. I don't know. But Courtney does believe that all of the residents in Blue Valley, like the heroic or people that are sort of know about the JSA, have to come together to take down the Ultra Humanite, even including the McKents. So that potential team up would be pretty damn interesting, though I'm not too sure exactly if that's what's going to happen, considering the end of this episode. But once again, don't know if that's another misdirect. We'll have to wait and see. I'm never going to, put my chips on something too early, because Stargirl likes to mess around and mislead you all the time and make you second guess until the last moment. So I'm just going to cautiously watch. But to end the episode off, one of the best reveals that Stargirl's done at the end of the episode, and one of the more just, I think, satisfying reveals and just pretty much all of comic book TV. People might say that's over the top, but this was so satisfying because there was so many theories as to what was going on. Because usually when you build up to a reveal, you've knocked off so many people by the time that you get to that reveal, where there's only maybe two options. There was so many people that it could have been, potentially. And it could have been a surprise where it's like someone that wasn't a villain that comes back as a villain, that, they died a hero, came back a villain. It could have been multiple people, like upwards of 5 or 6. So even more from some people as well. So I think this reveal was very, very satisfying. And based off the responses I'm seeing online, as I was going to record this video, I think people are agreeing with that as well. But to end the episode off, Paula and Crusher, or the Crocks, get a call from their daughter Artemis, where they learn that Artemis has been accepted into, the college through a football scholarship. I think she's like the first... I don't know if it was the first female quarterback in all of college football or just that specific school, not too sure. But that glee and happiness and, just them being proud is swept over by an open manhole with a trail of flyers for Crusher's gym flowing out of them and just leading into it. Now, of course, they follow it because they're like, hey, someone's messing around, we got to protect Blue Valley. And they are met by a very ominous atmosphere when they come across the surveillance room with all the TV screens. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for a jump scare. And that's when we get it. And we turn around to a hooded figure and Crusher is stabbed by something. And then he quickly starts to frost over. I'm like, oh shit, is this actually Icicle? Is he back? And I was thinking, wait, it could be Cameron. But I was like, no, it has to be Icicle. And we see that it is a reformed Icicle. He's even wearing a black mask. And obviously he also attacks Paula, freezes her. The two look at each other as they freeze over and die. And a very sad moment for those two characters who had that redemption arc from villains to, I guess, normal citizens within Blue Valley and allies to the JSA. And they die there after being very proud of their daughter. The daughter not there, obviously. And it just completely destroys their bodies. Just into little ice shards, if you want to call it, which I guess would melt away anyway. Wow. What a reveal. He looks normal. He looks completely normal. He looks back to normal, not in any blue form. And this was a theory that we talked about. A lot of people were citing that they thought it was Icicle. They thought it was a reformed Jordan McKent, especially because of the storyline this season with Cameron. Obviously, there were many theories, as I said before, but we talked about this, how it could have been an Icicle that's just brought back together, because we didn't know how his powers worked. We didn't know, okay, he was smashed together, but if he can just, can he just regenerate through water and come back together? Could that happen? I mean, he shoots icicles out of himself and stuff like that, which I guess would be a part of himself. So could he just regenerate ice himself if some form is still there? So I'm sure we're going to learn in the next episode exactly what happened to him, how long it took for him to get back. Was the surveillance stuff already there? How do you go about it? Obviously, it's going to be very curious to find out exactly how things are going on. And there's still 3 episodes left. This isn't a reveal before the finale. There's still 3 episodes to go. So there could be another misdirect. Who knows where it's going to go? But, big question. We're worried about Mike in regards to Cameron finding out. Should Mike be worried now because Icicle is actually back alive? Or would Icicle have would he have no idea who was driving the truck that hit him? I don't know. I have no idea whether he knows that it was Mike or not. Maybe like his like ice eyeball flew off when he got hit and he was able to see who got out of the truck. I don't know. Maybe he knows it was Mike. But if I was Mike, I'd be nervous if I knew this information that Icicle was back. But yeah, that's one hell of a reveal, and I can't wait to see these final 3 episodes, because not only do you have this reformed, back in action Icicle, but you still have the Ultra Humanite out there. He's still out there, and we still don't even know what's going on, like, with Cindy, whether she's still going bad. Is Dragon King somehow, like, I know Cindy stabbed him, but could he somehow still be alive? I have no idea. I have no idea. There's still 3 episodes to go. Crazy stuff would happen, and I would not be surprised if it did, because this is Stargirl. The fact this show's been cancelled is ridiculous. This is the one cancellation of a show where I'm like, why? But we have to live with it, I guess. But yeah, this episode, great follow-on from last episode, and great build-up to the reveal at the end. Can't wait to see these final 3 episodes. Whew, how good. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions about this episode, what your reactions to the final scene of this episode were, and any theories and predictions moving forward. Is Icicle the true villain? Is it Ultra Humanite? Is it someone above them? Let me know your thoughts down there. And of course, if you are new to the channel, might I say, be sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Goodbye.